This could be a rather complex subject, or in some ways quite simple. Depends how we look at it. Now, there are many people that have heard about liberation, enlightenment, and somehow are beginning to look for it. Of course, the danger with it is that we create an image somewhere out there, something that has to be achieved. And we keep on doing everything in order to achieve this state. And the danger that can occur is that we stop living the present for something that we wish is meant to come. And I like what Krishnamurti said once. It's a great philosopher and mystic, Krishnamurti. He said, becoming enlightened is not just achieving a particular state, but is living the present moment with presence, but more than anything, honesty, just looking at what's going on without an ego, without saying I'm right, I'm wrong, it should be like this, it should be like that. Just look at it, and then the ego clasp on it begins to let go, and then you can see what's there for what it is. And that is a moment of liberation. This is what's really going on. I thought it was all her fault, but wow, now I can see it's mine, but I can let it go. Wow, I can start anew. On the other hand, as we progress, as we work on ourselves, there are some very interesting liberatory events that can occur. Now, what stops us from these liberatory events, or even from looking at the present as it is a little bit our ego. And by ego, I don't want just to go, oh, the I is wrong, we should not have an I, because the I has got its function. That's how we recognize each other, that's how we talk, and so forth. But is the I when it tightens up and everything becomes about I. I'm always right, you're always wrong. I have to be admired, I have to be worshipped, I have to be followed, I have to know that I am the best one, the prettiest one. And if this I can achieve those things, it becomes happy. But as those things are not permanent, they fluctuate, then the I is constantly going between some relief and then pain, and then some relief and then pain and struggle, and then hatred and anger when this doesn't occur. So we are trapped in what in Vedanta they call Maya, the illusion of what we are, and we're not really that. So the journey, some beginning of awakening starts in some people that say, I feel unsatisfied with this. I'm not knocking it down, but this constant grasping and suffering and struggling of this tension, of this I, is not what's making me happy. And I have also to be careful. The realization starts that sometime clasping on a belief, oh well, I'll believe now in this kind of religion or that kind of religion, doesn't really free me, because then it becomes I follow this and I hate you because you follow that, and then we start fighting. I am right, I am wrong. No, you're right, you're wrong, blah 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 blah, and the ego just builds up under the image, under the canopy of a religious belief. So religion becomes just a projection of our ego. So as we go into the journey, trying to understand this and trying to let it go, the amazing dance of Maya that occurs is that very often we think we have to let it go. We have managed to do that. We are on the path. We are progressing, and at one level we are. But this I is like a virus that keeps on changing face, and it makes you believe that he is gone, but he has gone a bit deeper and then changed its mask. And I'll tell you very briefly, there was a story that I was told in the Buddhist center, not so much a story, but a narration of Buddha talking with some of his disciples. And they were telling him about one of the monks that actually had gone quite high up in their meditation. And then somehow he became very egotic, and he wanted to take over and to be followed, and he became very, very aggressive and conflictual. So they asked the Buddha, how come someone that has reached such a high level of meditation suddenly turns up like this? And the Buddha explained, he says, look, this I can transforms itself. And I don't remember the story exactly, but more or less it goes on these lines. He said, here the monk, the meditator, starts to go within himself and release things, and he becomes very diligent. You know, he does it correctly, he studies, he follows the teachings. But then the ego comes, something within, oh, I'm so good. I really follow the path, I really follow all the routines and all the teaching, I'm so good. So this I that separates us, it again manifests, but in another way. That I am such a good meditator. I'm so good at letting go. You know. So then he says this monk one day he realizes that, oh, this is another form of ego. That I'm so good at my following the teachings. So he lets go of it, which, you know, it's great. And then as he proceeds, he begins to really meditate very deeply and to achieve states of peace and relaxation. But again, then the ego comes up saying, oh, I'm so good on achieving states of meditation which are peaceful. I'm better than the others. See that? I'm better than the others. So again, this other form of ego arises. So again, he meditates, he talks with his teachers, and he realizes that now this other form of ego has arrived, has come up. So he releases it, and then he goes again deeper into meditation, and he starts seeing lights and having experiences and seeing something that was supposed to, that he said was going to happen, and it happened. And then this psychic ego starts occurring. Oh, I'm getting clairvoyant, I'm getting experiences, I'm seeing a light other people haven't seen. Again, see the transformation through all these stages. And so many people fall for that. Okay? So, and then of course he realizes that and lets it go. And then there are other stages and so forth that he needs to be aware of, because the ego keeps on changing. Now let's say somebody who is not so much doing meditation or in a monastery or so forth, but even in our Western lives, someone goes and say, oh, my emotions are so painful, it's so difficult for me to deal with people, I want to understand myself better, to improve myself. And it's beautiful, it's a very, very good aspiration. So So then he starts understanding, and he understands more and more, and he goes deeper and deeper. But then the risk comes that you get caught in this going deeper and deeper, and your intellect, then is your eye starting to make stories and trying to get caught in another kind of net. So you need to become aware of that as well. That is not about going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into this kind of concentric wave going down, but it's living your life at the moment and applying those things. And so what it is, there are very clear expressions of ego, of I, of separation. You know, I want to win over others, I want to be the best, I want to be this, I want to be doing that. And there is nothing wrong with being good at what you do. But when you want to do it to elevate yourself and put other people down, you see, then you start developing this false personality. False because you think that is going to make you happy, but in the long run is not, because it will fill you with anxiety and so forth. Now, so let's say that with time you manage to let go, things are becoming a little bit more clear, and so there is more space within you. You know, you begin to feel at ease within you. And now there could be some form of interesting awakening that can occur. In Zen Buddhism, they call them state of Satori. Bang, you see. But while in the West we think that it's just one, mostly, oh, boom, I've realized that, yeah, wow, I got it. In many forms of Buddhism, they say no, even that goes in stages, and again the ego can follow you. So it's difficult to always say exactly this is how it is, this is how it occurs, but we can have an idea, okay? We can have something that we can all share. Now, so there is the first form of Satori that many people now are experiencing. I don't know how many, but I'd say quite a few. And that is suddenly this identification with the mind, with the I, you know, being sucked by this and that and that. So being always pulled by one thing or the other, seeking fulfillment there and thinking this is who I am. So me, the struggling against people, the wanting, this is me, I, you know. Suddenly there is this realization, this moment. Oh, that was nice. Yeah, like this. That these are just waves happening in a lake. I'm just using an image to convey something. So it's like waves happening in a lake. You know, when you throw a stone or a fish jumps in and out of the water. And somehow I thought that that wave, that was me, just a wave there, taken there. And suddenly this realization occurs. I'm not actually the waves, they are occurring within me. But I am the lake, I'm the consciousness into which that occurs. I'm the being, pure being. Or some people say awareness, whatever, okay? Now, that can give a tremendous sense of joy. It is quite unique, you know, and it's not something that you can force. Some people, in my view, wrongly say there is nothing you can do. No, you can prepare the ground for it. But when it occurs, it's more like a you know. And so there is that sense of enormous joy. This is what I am, this is what the reality is. And it's all encompassing, you know, it's like everything is happening within it. This really is worth it. It's like you go bang, your eyes go dang, and of course you lose. Then you're still participating in the world, enjoying it, but there is less of that identification. I, me, self, I, that lets go of it. So there is just pure being. Now, there is still something that very few people of those that have had that experience can still see. There is still a sense that this is it. So there is somebody there saying, this is it. And I'll give you an example. I asked one of those people whether maybe he could be interested in some self-inquiring about his psyche, his childhood, and so forth. And he said, well, if there is no I, I've discovered that there is no I, there is not this sense of identification, who is there to psychoanalyze? That is a classical attitude that can occur, which is interesting, and there is a point. However, even when that kind of satori occurs, yes, there is an opening. Your eyes go a little bit wide, but there is still underneath many years of conditioning. And that conditioning could be our childhood, my parents, but my genetics, my nationality, my conditioning, and who knows, many past lives. So when you read some of the narrations of the Buddha, and I'm grateful that there are people that have written about it, because I wasn't very keen to talk about this. I hardly talk with anyone about it. But I thought, no, let me leave a little, few stones on pebbles on the path that maybe some people one day will find it useful. So there is an understanding then that yes, there has been a great achievement here, but there is still something remaining. Okay, now very often, for some people then, when they have this first awakening where the identification is dropped, okay, then there is a further state that can occur for some. And that is once our deeper being, our true self, discover its essence, then if it does a bit of further work and a release within, then there is an absolutely stunning, beautiful merger of total letting go. It's not about a belief, you're not letting go into this prophet or that prophet, or because otherwise you're still caught. What it is happening, there is just surrenders, totally letting go. And you merge with the most powerful sensation being of pure love. But it's not the love of this world. It's not the love. Yes, the love of this world can be very beautiful, very, very beautiful. And this love I'm talking about sometimes can express to a certain extent in this world. Like the mother and the child, that comes very close to it, okay? But this one, there is no image, This is more, again, this is who I am. This totally expanse of love. And as I said, not of this world. It's just there because it's there. It's not because of this, not because of that. No expectation, nothing, So there even that joy even increases, And sometime during this awakening you can have some sensations of, I'm not going to go too much into that, but you know, of the energy rising up and going, wow, you know, really release. You have to just keep very calm, not making any big deal of it, you know, but there's just, it's like our Shakti, our inner force, goes back and finds its beloved, and it goes back to it. Wow. So, in this great beauty, which then is fairly permanent, you know, I know some people say, oh, I'm always in this state like this. I like to feel more that the world comes and goes into it. I'm still fully alive, and I can be upset, I can be sad, I can cry, you know, but there is always a certain letting go that occurs, you know, but I don't like this narration that, oh, this is it, boom, you know, I've become a statue, always in a state of being like this, you know, of pure love. No, you embrace the world, you embrace everything that is, yeah? And you flow with it. You know, if somebody's really sad next to me, I can feel very sad with them. If suddenly I lose somebody in my life, I honor it. I feel the pain, you know, and quite deeply. But there is not a holding on to. Very beautiful, isn't it? Well, still the ego can emerge from it. And I can say that because it's very interesting, because I'm 70 and I've been on this path 52 years, and I've lived with quite a few people that have reached incredible levels of being, particularly in the East. And people that could just spend hours and days just sitting in total peace. And you think, wow, they have it, they have it. And then with time, as they get followers and they are praised, you could see this amazing ego comes up. Still the love is there and all those things are there, but these things still coming up a bit. We haven't gone deep enough yet. So you wonder, so from this and to that, this amazing thing, but still there is a subtle form of I that can remain, the spiritual I. You know, the I have achieved this. Look at me, you know. And I started suspecting that. And that's the beauty of those people that sometime have been here before us, that they did leave a witness of that. And you can read it, you can hear about it, and you go, yes, that's the help I needed. That's the help that I'm looking for. So is there still another stage after this amazing love? And when I'm talking of stages, it's not that is something different or higher. It's just an unfolding. It's just something that goes down, 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 and it goes, you know, and it goes all the way back. So examining these states, what came to be perceived was that still in the most subtlest of forms, there was still a certain I that remains. And in some people it can become some form of holiness. You know, some form of, look at me, you know, there is so much here, come, you know. So I started working on that. And there is this beautiful image from the time in which I was reading and studying a lot of cosmology, physics, particularly quantum physics. that there is a state in the hypothetical multiverse in which you have all these universes with everything happening ad infinitum. There is everything occurring, you know. However, because some have a plus charge, some have a minus charge, the totality of these universes lead to zero. Everything is there, yet nothing is occurring, and everything is occurring. Okay, bit confusing? Don't worry. So what I'm talking is that from this great happiness and bliss and pure energy of knowing that you are not stuck by these waves, you then go into this incredible love. And then there is a point where this love comes to rest. You know, and that is the ground, the zero ground. And it is, don't be confused by that word. Sorry if it does confuse you a little bit, zero, but I'm not meaning it zero like nothing as is meant in this world. All right? But it just means when you are there, there is complete peace, simplicity, but that is a work in progress. It's not dang like that. That again, from what you thought it was the end product, you go back again, bringing back quite a few things home. But it will just occur quite naturally. But because you haven't got caught up, now important is, okay, just look at me for a moment and listen. Because you haven't got caught up in the other two stages of liberation of Satori, and you have moved on, so you have kept the ability to still look deeper within you and to allow things to unfold. So this is the time where this I have achieved something. You know, oh, I've achieved this love, I've achieved this thing. Because even if the people that have achieved that, and they say there is no more I, but this enlightened I, yeah, a bit hidden there, I'm enlightened, you know, is still there in a subtle form. Here, from the little I can tell you, is you go back a bit to childhood. And then the joy is to even let go of the concept of enlightenment or liberation. But you have still this facility to go, I've made a mistake. Because that's another thing that occurs very often with so-called enlightened people, that very often what I've seen with them, what they say, and it's quite important, they say because there is not an I evaluating things within me, somehow they're saying I can't make a mistake because I'm looking from a pure mind, totally objective, there is no ego. But what I would like to say to them when they say that, who is saying that? Who is saying that there is no ego? Yeah, got it? Yeah? That very, very, very subtle ego is saying it. Right? That ego that sits down and say, here, look at me, I'm the enlightened one. So, this sense that there is nothing else for me to do, that I don't need to question myself, I can do no wrong. If I'm angry, it's just pure energy. Yes, true, yeah. Sometimes it is like that. Sometimes it's good to release it. But you still have to ask yourself, was that pure energy? Let me look at it. So what you reacquired when you start making this, I don't know what to say, perhaps final journey, is you reacquire the capacity of honesty that very often is lost in the other two stages. Because then that I am enlightened starts to drop away. You know, you go back just to simplicity, to a more childlike state. And sometime you go, whoops, oh, what has come out of my mouth? That was not appropriate. You know, because you know you're human, you will remain human. No matter how enlightened you are, you'll always remain human. And just being simple, being a nobody kind of thing, is the greatest joy in this state. So you start letting go more and more. And for some people that go through this path, actually sometimes there can be an increase of suffering. Suffering, I just mean things in life, you know, that come to say hello to you and teach you something that can be a bit painful, okay? But remember that if you are on the path and you're getting lights and voices and all these things, you're not getting anywhere near liberation, because it is just the ego going, oh, I've seen this, I have seen that, and most of these things are just produced by your mind. But I have to say, when you get to the first Satori, when you see that you are not this, and you know the freedom within you, this need for psychic experiences start dropping completely. And you go then into what I describe as this love returning, and then this journey back to the total rest, the zero, the absolute, whatever, you see. So there is no need for experiences, there is no need for, you know, impressing anyone as such. Matter of fact, you keep it fairly quiet, because it's no big deal. That is all what I'm saying. Suddenly this amazing thing, it's just becomes simplicity. And with that simplicity and with a certain humility, you know, you just keep swiping the floor. You know, you keep cleaning. You keep allowing things to come up, understand them, release them. Very often, you know, sometimes I can say, no, sorry, I'm not moving from here because I mean this and this is what it is for me. But often I'm very happy to look at it and go, yeah, I could have behaved in a different way, because I'll always be human and I'm glad to be one, you know. And so there'll always be conditionings from the past, you see. So, but it's just a journey into very, very simple peace, when you can just go within yourself and it's, you know, deep rest. Is deep rest. Nothing exceptional, very simple. That's all I said. And what I said, there is the dropping of the enlightenment, the dropping of someone being enlightened, or someone wanting to be recognized as enlightened, you know. That is the really best part of it. So I hope that this chat will be of help to someone in the future. Maybe if the world doesn't blow up, probably not. Could be when I'm not around, you know, in 20 years time, this video will be on YouTube. I like to think, you know, maybe someone 20 years on is going through certain experiences and, you know, look at this video and he goes, yeah, that's what I was looking for. That's the answer that I needed. Thanks for listening to me and have a happy life.